Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Cheering at pro wrestling shows in Japan is back, and 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year in the history of pro res. That's why you should listen to the Emerald Flow Show. From the Royal Road to the Green Mat, Paul and Gerard take you into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Not only do we analyze events, but we examine business, who is getting over, what angles are working or not. Occasionally, we take a look at other Japanese promotions like DDT and Zero One. So if you're looking for more coverage of the world of Japanese wrestling, check out the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome to Jumping Bomb Audio.
Welcome back to Jumping Bomb Audio, the number one show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. My name is Taylor, and I am joined as always by my good friend and co-host, Kelly. Kelly, how's it going?
Who cares how I'm doing? We got so many previews to do. We gotta go.
I feel like I said Kelly there twice and almost called you Kelly, who would be quite an interesting co-host to have on this podcast.
I don't think she'd know what you're talking about.
Who knows? Maybe there's, some old wrestlers are into wrestling. You never know.
I'm gonna guess that Kelly's no Missy Hyatt.
I think you'd probably be right. If I had to guess. No offense to Kelly. You don't think she's sitting down and, putting her credit card information into Zyco to see some. Do you think she watched the 666 show with English commentary?
Maybe. You know what, Kelly, if you're listening to us right now, drop us a line. We'll work something out. You can be a guest. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, that would be great. And where can you drop us a line? Well, I'll tell you exactly where you can drop us a line. You can drop us a line on Twitter. I refuse. I will not bow to the pressure. At JBomb Audio, you can follow Kelly at Comic Geek Kelly, and you can follow me at Tay Mainbow. Subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice, and if that app of choice happens to be Apple Podcasts, we'd really appreciate a 5-star rating and review. And if you're feeling extra generous, you can donate to the show at redcircle.com/shows/jumping-bomb-audio. So let's get right into it. As Kelly says, we have a lot to preview. We have at least a dozen shows to preview. But first, let's jump into some of the reviews. We're going to start off with the most recent Tokyo Joshi Korakuen Hall show, the next round of the Tokyo Princess Cup from July 29th in front of 437 fans. Kelly, what did you think about this show overall?
I thought this was a good show, but not a great show. Like, this is probably the most disappointing Korakuen they've had in a while, I think.
I found the sort of energy of it, and I don't know whether it was that I was watching it. I didn't watch it live. I watched it later. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was, 437 fans, not a great number.
Yeah, that's not good.
in terms of attendance, didn't look really good in venue. I wasn't surprised to see it was a low number because when the show opened, it didn't look like there was a ton of people there. I don't know, just the whole thing. Some of the results sort of threw me off as well. So it just had this very strange vibe to me, really, the whole show. I was just sort of thinking, what's happening with this show? But let's get into it. The first show, or the first match, I should say, a tag team match. Juria Nagano, the recently returned Juria Nagano, teaming with Kaya Toribami to defeat Himawari and Wakana Uehara in 7 minutes and 47 seconds. My takeaway from this was I think all four did very well. I think that this is a sort of strong class of wrestlers. I know Kaya Toribami is sort of in a different class from them. I thought Uehara looked great. I think she's really smooth already. She doesn't really, and I think the gear also helps with this. She doesn't really look like a rookie. She doesn't come across to me like a rookie in her moves, in how she looks, in really the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good, solid opening match.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a strong opener. I thought everyone got their moment to shine in the match, but I would say Juria was the star for sure here. Like, she just keeps impressing. Yeah, overall, good opener.
Yeah, I think it's clear that, I think they're probably going to go fairly slowly with Himawari and Uehara. And of course, Toribami is sort of in this weird gray area still where it seems like they're not looking to push her yet. So to me, it was really a Juria, get Juria back in there, get her another win, and sort of start moving her up because clearly they see a lot in her.
As they should.
The next match was a 6-person tag team match. The next match, technically, Hyper Masao, Naokakuta, and Yuki Aeno defeating Haruna Neko, Mahiro Kiryu, and Pam Harajuku in 42 seconds. That match was then restarted, and the same trio, Hyper Masao, Naokakuta, and Yuki Aeno, defeated Haruna Neko, Mahiro Kiryu, and Pam Harajuku in 6 minutes and 2 seconds. A little twist on the usual formula, with Hyper Masao picking up the flash win here. My big takeaway from this match was very happy to see streamers. That was great. And I wish Naokakuta was more consistently sort of in higher matches of higher consequence, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, now came off really well here, and it was wild the amount of streamers that Neko got.
Yeah, and Balianaki on commentary, very excited for the Haruna Neko streamers. But I always like streamers. I'm a big fan. I know they're like a pain to clean up and sort of sometimes annoying, but I think they add a lot to shows like this.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. I like it. I miss having that in Ring of Honor.
Yeah. I wish I could have it in, well, maybe not every promotion. Like, I think it would be weird in, like, New Japan.
Yeah.
But I think it adds for many promotions, Ring of Honor, Tokyo Joshi, a lot of other Joshi promotions. I think it adds a little bit of fun, a little bit of excitement, especially in a match like this where now we're talking about it. And other than, that, it was pretty much just a match, really.
Yeah, it was fine.
And now we're talking about it because of the streamers.
Yep.
Any other thoughts, Kelly, on this 6-person tag match?
No, I did like how the second fall was fairly serious throughout the whole thing. Like, it wasn't, they kind of got all the silliness out of the way right up front, and then it was kind of just a serious match from then on.
The next match was an 8-person tag team match. The team of Hikari Noa, Raku, Shino Suzuki, and Suzume defeating Haru Karashiro, Mizuki, Runa Okuba, and Toga in 12 minutes and 31 seconds. Kelly, what did you think about this match?
I thought all the children looked pretty good here. Toga had another strong showing, and like in that closing stretch, there was a bit where it felt like, hey, maybe Toga could beat Hikari here.
I thought that this match was really fun. I think the rookies have gotten pretty good pretty fast. You know, when they first debuted, I think we talked about on the show, it was sort of like, we're going to have a lot of these people. They're going to be on the undercard. These matches are probably going to be, you know, they'll be learning. They might not be great matches, but they'll be learning. But they really have become very solid. Um, you know, not blowaway matches, but they've all gotten. I mean, obviously, we talk about Toga a lot in all our matches, but like Runa was the first person in this match who like demolished someone.
Yeah,
And I
they're
was
all
like,
competent at worst at this point.
So I thought that this was really fun. I thought it was a good win for Hikari, who has sort of felt a little bit like she's sort of floating around in the ether since the deathmatch stuff, which was sort of the focus of her. But yeah, a fun match. Certainly, these matches. I think if you would have asked me after the first thing, I would have been like, I might, you know, eventually get sick of all these rookies, you know, wrestling all the time. But I look forward to them. It's exciting to see these rookies get better, and they're improving seemingly every match.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see how soon one of these rookies is better than about 75% of the AEW women's roster, because it's gonna be soon.
Yeah.
Sadly. The next match was our first quarterfinal match in the Tokyo Princess Cup 2023. Yuki Arai defeating Ariso Endo in 13 minutes and 1 second. I thought this was a pretty good showing from Yuki Arai. To me, she still feels to me a bit like a drop-in. Like, I don't quite feel like she has clicked to be like, oh, she's a wrestler who happens to be, you know, in SKE 48. She feels like, oh, she's in SKE 48, and then she comes here and sort of does this for fun as like, oh, I'll do this as well.
Yeah.
And I sort of wish that would flip-flop. Like, I thought this was fine, but I wasn't sitting there being like, yeah, let's go. I was just sort of like, okay, that was pretty good.
I liked this a lot. Like, I thought Endo kind of got Arai to work stiffer as the match went on, which was good. And I thought the match was structured really well, and I loved when Endo blocked the axe kick and then Arai was just like, fuck it, and booted her in the face. Like, I don't know. This match landed really well for me. I went 4 stars. It was actually, I think, my favorite match of the show.
Wow. All right. Well, the next match was the second of 4 quarterfinal matches. Yuki Kamifuku with what I think could be described as the upset of the tournament so
Busts
far.
every bracket.
Defeating Miyu Watanabe in 12 minutes and 22 seconds. Kelly, what did you think of this shocking result?
I don't care for it. Like, it's so weird. Like, I don't know why you would beat Miyu here, but maybe they want to save some of her bigger matches coming up, or they were just like, well, we don't want her to go to the finals and lose again, so we'll knock her out sooner. But I don't know. It just felt really weird. Though the match itself I thought was very good. I liked that Kamyu was full on heel here, and you know, Miyu never got Kamyu in the giant swing, so maybe that was the downfall of her.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a strange match. I mean, I guess I could see why, because I think, and this, I don't have any basis for this except my own thoughts, I guess, is that I think the next time Miyu challenges for the title, she has to win.
Yeah,
And
probably.
so I guess in principle, the options are, if that is true, and maybe it's not true, maybe I'm just making this up in my own head, but then you're like, well, she has to lose. And I guess it's a little bit more interesting to have her lose here than be like, oh, of course she's going to get to the finals and get to the finals against someone and then lose. Like, I don't know. Um, it just feels to me like when they're going to make the decision to push her, I think it's going to like happen immediately. It's going to be very strong. And I think right now with Mizuki, maybe the thought is, okay, we're still sort of establishing her. She's had the title for a bit. Maybe they want to have a few more title defenses just to get her really solidified as like, yes, I held the title for, a good amount of time. And they don't want Miyu coming in because I don't think they want to create this Miyu that's like, I think there's a danger here of creating a Miyu, especially because she goes against so many people and she has been losing a bit, that they don't
Yeah.
want to create this thing of like, oh, she just loses like big matches.
Yeah, and I
'Cause I,
think then it takes the sting out of it because it's like, oh, it's just the quarterfinals.
yeah, it's like, oh, it didn't happen. Like it happened in this weird match, sort of like they did for years with Miyu. Now Miyu's a little bit different just because Miyu Yamashita, I should say. Because she's so established already. But Miyu used to lose in the Tokyo Princess Cup in the first round like all the time, and it was just a thing where it's like, oh, that's what happens, and it never really, made people think, oh, well, she's a choke artist or something like that. It was just sort of like, oh, she doesn't win this.
Yeah.
Whereas if she got to the finals and keeps losing, then all of a sudden the story is like, oh, this person, gets to the finals but can't seal the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's sort of a different, it changes from, oh, she lost in the quarterfinals to like a Jungle Kiona thing where it was like,
Yeah.
oh, here's a Jungle Kiona, title challenge. She's going to lose. Like, how stupid will she look this time? And then it was like, oh, she lost again. So, I just thought it was a bit strange because Miyu came out. I don't think this is what happened. Um, but it almost felt to me like um, when someone comes out and you're like, oh, they're losing because they behave sort of differently. Like Miyu came out and sort of had the like 1,000-yard stare for the first little bit. And I was like, if I didn't know better, I would think, oh, they were like, oh, you're losing. And she came out and was sort of like, oh, I'm just going to wrestle this sort of strange style match um,
Yeah.
with a 1,000-yard stare. I don't think that is what actually happened. I think they, were just telling the story of Miyu thinking that she was like, oh, I'm so much better than Yuki. I'm above her. And then obviously getting upset in the end. But I also really enjoyed this match. I thought they really picked it up. Near the end, they started really just wailing on each other, which I thought was great. So I went 3 3/4. It was a match I
That's where I was
enjoyed,
at.
but just a match I was sort of watching and being sort of the definitive, like why I thought this show was so weird. The result was strange to me in the moment. Um, like Miyu in this sort of different character than she usually has. So I just was spending the match being like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah. But
Um,
I am happy that Camille got a win because she kept losing a lot there. So this is a huge win for her.
yes, I did think, oh, maybe my theory about why does she keep losing all the time uh, is wrong. But then, of course, I also thought, oh, maybe she is losing, so they're giving her a couple wins, a couple nice wins on the way out.
Yeah.
I like flip flopped to one side and then right back to the side I had originally been on. Um, but we will have to see about that. The semifinals, Miyu Yamashita defeating Mocha Miyamoto in 12 minutes and 55 seconds. I thought that this was a good match. It just to me that I thought Mocha did well, But the whole thing with Mocha doesn't really feel like one person to me. Like, it doesn't feel like a single package. Like, the gear is different than the move set, and then her sort of attitude is also different. Like, there's
I
no
thought you were implying there's multiple Mochas at first.
no. There's like no continuity between the different aspects, like her character, the gear, the moves she does in the ring, how she acts, are all sort of not together for me.
Yeah, she's all over the place.
So I thought it was a good match. I thought she did very well, but there's a thing that's holding me back from being like, I'm really rooting for this person because they are like Mocha is. I guess I'll do this as a quiz for you, Kelly. Like, define Mocha in 3 words.
Whew. Lots of fabric.
Like, she does karate, but I wouldn't say, oh, she's a karate like person.
Yeah.
Like, I guess she is, and she was teaming with Juria, and that whole thing was happening. But if I was like, oh, this is a karate person, and then you'd never seen Mocha in your whole life before, and I was like, oh yeah, this person, they're like really adept. They do karate, these great karate punches in the ring. And then I like showed you just a picture of her, you'd be like, what? Who is this? Like, I think if I lined up the entire Tokyo Joshi roster and said, okay, find the person who's like, besides Juria, take Juria out of it, but find the person who is the karate expert in this lineup of people, I'm not sure Mocha would be anyone's like in the first 10 picks.
Yeah, you're not going to stop at Mocha.
So it's just the whole thing. Like, I know we've sort of, had this running joke about, oh, the gear, we don't like the gear. But I do think at this point, it's like something has, like, sort of like Yuki Aino had the, change of gear, and then sort of it clicked. She was sort of floating around, and then it clicked, and then she went up and had a couple great matches. It just feels like something needs to be different, or there needs to be some consolidation of who this person is now that she's actually getting some focus. But that was really my main thought as I was watching. Also, I always like the moment when sort of someone is overwhelmed fighting against Miyu, and they're sort of valiantly fighting, and then Miyu just snipes them, and you're like, oh, it's over.
Yep, she's had enough.
Yeah, that's always a fun moment of the match. But I liked the match. I thought it was good. But that sort of disconnect held me back.
Yeah, I liked how the match for the most part was just like a mauling, but every now and then Mocha would get in some offense to curtail to push off defeat for another minute or two, and then finally Miyu was like, all right, cool, I had enough.
And then the main event was the last match in the Tokyo Princess Cup quarterfinals. Rika Tatsumi, the White Dragon, defeating Big Kaiju Shoko Nakajima in 19 minutes and 10 seconds. Kelly, what do you think of the main event?
This was great. A really good, just back and forth struggle of a match. I thought Rika's Dragon Sleeper at the end looked brutal. Just a really good way to close out a show. I went 4 stars.
Yeah, the finish is what stood out to me, because that Dragon Sleeper, I've talked about it on the show before. I sometimes think Dragon Sleepers can look very bad and sort of lame. And this one, I was like, wow, that looks really good. Excited to see Rika move on, and a good match. So yeah, it's one of the, now we've reached the end. It's like we had a number of matches we were like, yeah, it was good, but it just, I don't know, vibes. Maybe it just comes down to the vibes.
It didn't feel like a normal Tokyo Joshi show.
Yeah, and I don't, because did they do the quarters at Korakuen last year? I don't think they did.
I want to say they didn't.
Because I know that they had the semis and obviously the finals in the 2 shows. I don't remember that they did the quarters. But maybe I was wrong because, last week I was like, oh, maybe they should just do a Korakuen where they do, all 8 first round matches or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah, because it just kind of threw off the feel of the show. I don't know.
I also think, something we haven't talked about is that the tag titles are vacant.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I'm like,
that's right.
let's pretend that someone has them. Let's just make up that someone has them. Like, taking out one of the openers and putting in the tag title match, I'm like, would that have made it more?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe if you put a tag title match like either in the main or in between the tournament matches, like a sandwich.
Yeah, so I don't know, but just overall, a good show, solid show, but a little bit strange. Well, that is not the only tournament, of course, that has been happening in the world of Joshi. Stardom has also been having matches in the 5-star Grand Prix. The Night 2 show was on July 29th, featuring 3 block matches. The first one, Julia defeating Hanan. Julia moving to 3 points. Hanan stuck on 0. Sayori Ano defeating Mariah May. Sayori now at 3. Mariah stuck at 2. And Mina Shirakawa defeating Mirai. Mirai still at 0 points. Mina now at 4 points. Kelly, what did you think of these matches?
Overall, I thought they were pretty good. I really enjoyed Julia versus Hanan. Hanan got a way more offense than I would have expected. But yeah, they both worked super hard. I went 3 3/4 on that. Sayori versus Mariah May was great. Like, super hard hitting. Really well done limb work. I thought they had very good chemistry. I went 4 on that one. And then the main event was pretty good too. It was kind of just like, it felt a little sloppy in the beginning, but it picked up by the end. And I thought Mina going after Mirai's neck was a good story. And I went 3.5 on that one.
Yeah, I really liked this night as well too. I went 3 3/4 on Sayori and Mariah, and I went 3 3/4 on Mirai and Mina. I thought it was a really strong show. I thought Hanan did well. I think Hanan's sort of going to have those type of matches where you're like, oh yeah, this is good, like 3-star, which is fine. She's opening a lot of these shows. I have to talk about Sayori taking a power bomb bump on the outside at a show with like 100 people in the crowd.
She's an absolute maniac, and I love it.
They just really, Mariah and Sayori just whacked the shit out of each other for most of the match, which I thought was really good. Also, as I said, really liked the main event. I was frankly shocked how much I liked it, just based on the fact that, these sort of small shows are often like, okay, these matches are fine. I actually like them getting close to a draw, but not doing a draw.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think they don't do that enough, and they really laid each other out. So I thought it was a really strong overall show. I had someone reach out and be like, "Hey, is there anything worth watching?" And I said, "Yeah, certainly the top 2 matches are worth watching. I mean, they only take about 20 minutes as well, or 25 minutes, and frankly, you can get through all 3 matches in about 35 minutes. So pretty easy. The next night on July 30th, there was 2 5-star Grand Prix matches. Mirai defeating Hanan Mirai, getting her first 2 points of the tournament, and Natsupoi defeating Suzuki in 9 minutes and 6 seconds. I thought the main event was very good. Really, the match, I mean, only 2 matches, but really, if you're going to watch anything, watch the main event. Kelly, what did you think?
It felt very much like a house show to me. Like, I don't want to say everything was worked at half speed, but it did seem like they weren't putting as much effort into things. So the main event, while I still went 3 3/4 on it, I was like, well, this was disappointing, because those two definitely have a much better match in them.
Yeah, it did feel to me, it was sort of like, oh, this match was good, knowing that this is a house show a house show with only 2 matches on it, where it's sort of like, okay, we're just going to get this match out. And I was like, oh, it was fun. Kelly's favorite type of show, which is one where a loud air conditioning unit is placed directly next to the microphone
Love it.
that picks up all the sound in the venue.
Love it.
So
I love to see when they shoot the shows and you actually can barely see any fans. It's just the empty chairs in the upper deck that they film.
I would love to, if I went to those shows, I'd be like, put me up there, like all by myself.
Yeah, there
And
was 2 people just up there, and I was like, "Yep, they got the right idea."
well, and I think, because I was that on the first show. I think that was on the first show,
Yeah, I can't remember which one.
and I think, or maybe it was the second show. I think one of them was. I think it was the wrestlers,
Oh,
because I thought. I mean, it was very far away, so I couldn't really tell. But I thought at least one of them. I thought it was like Mariah and Shuri.
oh,
But I don't know. It was very far away. But I was like, who's sitting all the way up there? And then I was like, well, it would make sense if it was like the wrestlers just came out after the matches and were like, oh, we'll go watch,
yeah.
sitting in the crowd or whatever. Stardom also had 5-star Grand Prix shows on August 5th and August 6th. Those are not yet on Stardom World, so we're not going to talk about those yet. Supposedly, those will be up on August 7th, which will be the day this is released. So we won't talk about any results in case people have not had an opportunity to watch those yet, as we have because they are not available. Oz Academy had a show on July 30th. Itsuki Aoki defeating Kakeru and Kaori Yoneyama to win the Pioneer title, which is their 3-way title. Tokyo Joshi, as well as that Korakuen Hall show, had their amusement park show. Kelly, I don't know. We didn't talk about it. Did you watch this show?
I did not.
All right. It was I did watch it. It was interesting. I think anything would have had, it would have been a tall order to follow up on that pool wrestling match, which was very good. But this really was barely a wrestling show. And, sort of like pool wrestling is also sort of barely a wrestling show. But this, they didn't even, they sort of had a brief wrestling type match at the beginning. And then it was mostly playing sort of games, chasing each other, playing that game where you try and like knock each other off balance with your hands.
Chicken.
Is
Chicken
it called
fight.
chicken?
Isn't it?
I guess. I don't know what it's called, so I'll believe you.
I think that's what it is. It's not the same chicken as driving your cars at each other to see who moves.
Yes. That's what I think of when I think of chicken. And I'm like, well, it's
Yeah.
not that. But it felt very much like something they would want to show like on TV, because they had a lot of intro. They'd be like, oh, who's doing this activity? And it'd be like, oh, it's Raku. And then they would cut to like a video being like, here's who Raku is. So it sort of felt much more like a variety show to me than, wrestling or a wrestling adjacent show. Sendai Girls had 2 shows this weekend on the 5th and the 6th. Ice Ribbon had the show on July 30th with the one-night return of Tsukasa Fujimoto, who teamed with Aja Kong and Kahu Matsushita in a losing effort against Chihiro Hashimoto and the Hoshis, Hamako Hoshi and Ibuki Hoshi.
Was that show on the Ice Ribbon YouTube?
It is not on the Ice Ribbon YouTube, because I did check, because I did want to watch it. Their last show that they posted was on the 29th.
Okay. Did you see the digest version they put up of this?
I did not.
So it's like this charity show. Like there's this whole opening ceremony where people are like they're teaching little kids how to wrestle. Like it's this whole production like charity thing. But like in the semi-main, there's the Yuri versus Tsukina Umino match where they go so much harder than they absolutely need to. Like, they're fighting in the crowd, they're throwing each other through chairs. It has one of the sickest sounding shoot headbutts I've ever heard. And it's just like, man, this feels so out of place on this show. But it fucking rocked, and I want to see the whole match.
Yeah, the Ice Ribbon YouTube tends to just or mainly do the dojo shows.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this will make tape or if it was on, like, if it will show up on Nico Nico. I don't even know what's happening with Nico Nico really anymore. But yeah, that was the Ice Ribbon show. Wave had a show on August 1st. Ikudo Hidaka and Itsuki Aoki retained their tag titles against Ayami Sasamura and Hikari Shimizu. That was their first defense. Kelly, what has been going on in the land of Choco Pro?
So Choco Pro 323 on July 30th, the main event was Emi Sakura and Masahiro Takanashi defeating Hagane Shino and Shia Koshikawa. And this match ruled. Just like a super intense, hard-hitting match that followed up on Sakura beating Shino for his belt. Like, Shino was pissed and he was beating the shit out of Emi. Like, this was a great match where everyone played their roles super well. I went 4.25 on it. And then today there was the Four Aces show that has not aired, so I don't know what happened, but hopefully I'll be able to talk about it next time.
What else has been going on Joshi related? Well, there was the 666 Korakuen Hall show. 666's first Korakuen Hall show ever, celebrating their 20th anniversary. Now, Kelly, did you watch this show?
I did not.
Okay. Feels like your level of
Grime.
griminess. But a fun show. It had a Tokyo Joshi match in it featuring, of course, the reunification of Raku and Ram Kaichou, and a number of other Joshi talent. Rina Yamashita, Mayumi Ozaki was on it. Fun show. It had English commentary with Chris Brooks and Mr. Haku, which was a lot of fun. I have not watched very much 666 at all. And so there was some things, even with English commentary, that sort of went over my head. But it was a fun show, and I always appreciate these sort of promotions putting out English shows with English commentary on them, which I think is great. So give that a watch if you want to see something sort of a little bit different than your usual. Great had their big Sumo Hall show version or volume Mega.
Vermega.
I have not watched all the show. I've watched part of the show, but a number of Joshi wrestlers on it. I do have to say one part I did see is that they really should stop putting Maya Fukuda in shoot matches, because I think everyone I've watched, she's lost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
Okay, but also, the lady she was against, how'd she poke her in the eye? She got giant fucking boxing gloves on. What'd she poke her with?
Well, you can do that even with your... Well, I guess you're right. They do have giant... I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, she just took a shot in the eye and was like, ow, you need to stop the fight, and broke up any of momentum she had.
Well, it's all about strategy.
Yep. Maya was robbed.
Seriism number 2, the second Seri produced show, just recently happened. I have not had a chance to watch it yet, but the tag main event is getting very good reviews, featuring Seri, of course, and also Kairi, who it was just announced will be redeparting Japan to go back to WWE. Maybe inspired by the very poor women's wrestling that happened on SummerSlam last night. I didn't watch the show.
What is she doing?
I didn't watch the show. I, in fact, forgot it was happening until I started seeing a bunch of people talking about it. But also Io Shirai winning the some women's title. I don't know. So great for her, and sort of disappointing result for all this Kyrie stuff where she came back, had a few matches, and now I don't think she's returning until March. So she's going to have a number of other matches, I would assume, but very disappointing.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't feel like Stardom loses much.
Well, no, they've really barely used her.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of disappointed because it felt like, oh, she hadn't really done anything yet. And now it's like, oh, she probably won't do anything at all.
No, going back to the retirement home.
Kelly, what else? What other shows, Joshi adjacent shows, have been happening?
Prominence had their 15th battle, Entei, on July 30th. The main event was a death match where Toru Sugiura defeated Risa Sera. This took a little bit for it to get going for me, but once they got there, it got pretty great. And this was the first time I remember seeing a TV used as a weapon. So that was interesting. I went 4 on that one. And then just earlier today, there was the Ganbare show, where the main event was the Spirit of Ganbare openweight title being defended by Isami Kodaka against Yuri. This was really good, but it was hampered by bad production because that video quality was not good. It peaked at 720p, and most of the time it was like watching a match with my glasses off. But that aside, the match itself was very good. I went 4 on it still. I probably would have gone higher with better production. And it was like a single cam show, so there was a time when I thought Isami was like pinning Yuri for a good 10 seconds. Like, what is happening? But it was really, he had a Kimura in or something. Still don't know for sure what it was. So that was disappointing. But it was a free show on YouTube, so I can't be too upset. But either way, really good match. I liked it. I don't know if it's worth a watch because it is kind of a pain to get through.
Well, that is everything that has happened, and now it is time to talk about everything coming up in the next 2 weeks of Joshi Wrestling, starting with Stardom, who will have 8 shows in the next 14 days. Starting with August 8th, another 5-star Grand Prix show, 4 Grand Prix matches. Mayu Iwatani against Suzu Suzuki, Suri versus Natsupoi, Maika versus Momo Watanabe, and Julia versus Mariah May. Kelly, what's your most anticipated match of that show?
Those are all good matches. I gotta go Julia versus Mariah May because we saw with Mariah against Saori, she'll be a psycho when she wants to be a psycho, so I think they'll beat the shit out of each other.
Kelly, always stealing. I'm going to go first. Next time I ask that question, I'm going first. I will say Mayu Iwatani and Suzu Suzuki. That will be my...
That will also be very good.
That will be my pick. Then on the 10th, another 5-star Grand Prix show, but with only 2 matches. Some of these shows being affected by the fact that Sayaka Kamatani leaving the tournament because her injury suffered on the first night. But 2 matches here, Mayu Iwatani and Natsupoi, and Suzu Suzuki going up against Natsuko Tora.
Taylor, what's your most anticipated match on that show?
Mayu Iwatani versus Natsupoi. What's yours?
All right, that's the right pick. You know what? You know what? Fine, let's go Suzu Suzuki versus Natsuko Tora and hope that they do deathmatch stuff.
August 12th, another 5-star Grand Prix show. Utami versus Saori Anou, Julia versus Mina Shirakawa, and Azumi versus Hanan. I will take... Oh, that's tough. I will take Utami and Saori as my pick.
Yeah, I'll go Julia versus Mina.
Then on the 13th, not a 5-star show, although there is a 5-star match on it, but it is on the 13th, Stardom x Stardom. the next big show for Stardom. It will open with an Osaka Gauntlet. Then we'll feature Starlight Kid, Oedo Tai explodes, Starlight Kid versus Natsuko Tora in a 5-star Grand Prix match. Saki Kashima versus Koguma for the high-speed title. Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May will defend their tag titles against Natsupoi and Saori Anou. Julia will defend the strong women's title against Yu. Utami and Mayu Iwatani will face off for the IWGP Women's title, and in the main event, Tam Nakano will defend the World of Stardom title against newcomer Megan Bayne.
The Megasis.
The Megasis, that's right. An interesting card here. I would say half this card I'm excited for, and half this card I am not excited for.
Yeah, I honestly, the only things I'm excited for are Utami versus Mayu and the tag title match. Everything else, get in the bin. I don't need it.
I think I would agree. Who knows? Maybe Megan Bayne comes out and really shows out.
Maybe.
Then on the 15th, another 5-star Grand Prix show. Tam Nakano and Mayu Iwatani. Suri versus Hazuki, Utami versus Azumi, Saori Anou versus Momo Watanabe, and Mina Shirakawa versus Mariah May. I will log Mina and Mariah as my match of the night. Haha. Now you know how it feels.
I know. And you knew I was going to pick that because that will be the basis upon which the biggest heel turn in Stardom history will be placed upon. They'll call back to this in like 2 years. Gonna do lore threads. Mina's not Mariah's oos anymore.
What's your pick?
Siri versus Suzuki.
All right.
That should be very good.
Then on the 18th of August, it is New Blood number 10. It was announced New Blood will not be airing on this New Blood, I should say, will not be airing on YouTube. So not great. And the card is Lady C versus Kohaku, Hanan and Hina versus Suzu Suzuki and Mei Sierra, Amisore, Miran, and Nanami will take on Hanako, Kazuna Tanaka, and Enka. Yuna Mizumori will take on Natsupoi. Miyu Amasaki will take on Saori Anou in Kelly's favorite style match. Nanae Takahashi will take on Saya Ida in a passion injection match. And Rina will defend the Future of Stardom title against Waka Tsukiyama. Have to say, not a card I'm particularly excited for.
Yeah. So this isn't on YouTube. Are they asking people to pay for this then?
No, I believe they're just asking people they're asking people to pay by going to see the show.
Oh, so we don't have to watch it.
I don't know if it's airing somewhere else. I didn't see that. I just know it's not airing on YouTube. I mean,
if it doesn't, it doesn't. Cool. Because I don't need to watch this.
I'm assuming it will show up on Stardom World.
Maybe.
At some point, if it's not on YouTube.
Because this is a real not great card.
Then on the 19th is Midsummer Fest 2023, and this show, I guess you could categorize it as a sort of throwback show. Starting off, Koguma versus Hanako versus Fukigen Death. Then Hanan, Rina, and Hina, the trio there, will take on Lady C, Waka Tsukiyama, and Yuna Mizumori. Mirai, Amisore, and Saya Ida will take on Maika, Suzu Suzuki, and Mei Sierra. Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May will take on Megan Bayne and Tekla. Mayu Iwatani and Momo Kogo will take on the God's Eye top duo of Saki Kashima and Suri. Then we get to the top of the card, Utami, Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, and Kyoko Inoue will take on Natsuka Tora, Ruaka, Dump Matsumoto, and Zap. That's right. Stardom bringing in a lot of classic wrestlers here, I'll say. The semi-main, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Sayori Yano will take on Hazuki, Takako Inoue, and Shinobu Kandori. And the main event will be Nanai Takahashi, Momoe Nakanishi, and Jaguar Yokota taking on Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and you. I have to say, um, just my personal opinion, 8 shows in 2 weeks is too many shows. But I guess if you're going to do shows, I like that they're trying to do something wacky here.
Yeah.
That
yeah, no,
isn't-
it's good to do something like this where it's just like, hey, this is crazy legend show out of left field. It's kind of out of continuity, so if you don't watch it, you don't watch it. But if you do, you get something fun.
And then finally, the last show will be on August 20th, another 5-star Grand Prix show. 2 matches there. Mayu Iwatani versus Natsuko Tora and Hazuki versus Ami Sourei. So that concludes the 8 shows upcoming for Stardom in the next 2 weeks. Oz Academy has a Korakuen Hall show on August 20th, headlined by Akino defending her Oz Openweight title against Sonoko Kato. Jaguar Yokota and Mayumi Ozaki, age 115, will defend their tag titles against Kohaku and Riko Kaiju. The Evolution trio of Chi-Chi, Zones, and Sunny will take on Maya Yukihi, Sayori Yano, and Kakaru. Evolution, I think, getting to the point where maybe I have been watching some of them. Maybe we'll start talking about them on this show as they seem to be ever expanding. You will take on Momoko Hanazono, and the Mizuki Endo will have her final match in Oz Academy, teaming with Ryo Mizunami and Itsuki Aoki to take on Kaori Yoneyama, Hiroyo Matsumoto, and Ram Kaichou. Tokyo Joshi has 2 Korakuen Hall shows coming up, just like last year. The first show will be the Tokyo Princess Cup semifinal, and then the second show will feature the finals. Only the card for August 12th. The first show has been announced. It will open Suzume versus Juria Nagano. Wakana Uehara, Toga, and Runa Okuba will take on Himewari, Shino Suzuki. Kelly, don't leave me.
Shino. Sorry.
Thank you. Kelly, don't leave me hanging. Jesus. And Haru Karashiro.
No, I was just kind of looking at that match and I was like, holy shit, it's just children. They don't have adults to guide them.
The children have grown.
Yeah, that'll be a very interesting match.
Hyper Masao, Hikari Noa, Nao Kakuta, and Kaya Toribami will take on Yuki Aino, Raku, Pam Harajuku, and Haruna Neko. Shoko Nakajima and Miyu Watanabe will team to take on Moka Miyamoto and Ariso Endo. Saki Sama and Mei San Michel are back to take on Mizuki and Mahiro Kiryu. And then the semifinal and main event of the show are the semifinals of the Tokyo Princess Cup. Rika Tatsumi taking on Yuki Kamafuku, and Miyu Yamashita taking on Yuki Arai. Kelly, who walks in on August 13th to Korakuen Hall as a finalist in the 2023 Tokyo Princess Cup.
I'm gonna guess, well, do you have Kamiyu spoil Tatsumi?
That's a question. That's what I asked you to answer.
No, I know. I didn't think about that until just the second. But I'm like, you could do that. I'm just gonna go Tatsumi versus Yuki Arai as your finals.
I'm gonna go Yuki versus Yuki. Yuki's Explode.
There you go. Okay.
And I think Yuki Arai wins the whole thing.
Now, do you think potentially in the match before the semifinals,
Mhm.
do you set up a Saki-sama versus Mizuki title match for the next night to help draw for the next night?
They don't really ever do that, is the thing.
No. But you might possibly be running out of time with Saki-sama.
Why? Why do you say
Oh,
that?
I don't know. I've heard things about the French markets.
Oh, French stock markets?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know the French had the stock market.
Yeah, the aristocrats might be on the outs.
Oh, I see. So you're saying there might be a coup, and she might not be able
Yeah.
to get back.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I think that would be fun. It would be a cool thing to do. I do wonder if, they do have two under the semifinals. They do have two tag matches. I wonder if they do run some sort of like, hey, we won. Hey, we won. Like, what are they doing with the tag? Like, have they said anything about? I haven't seen anything about the tag titles.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Unless
going
I've
on with the tag belts.
unless I've totally missed something. It seems like they would want someone to have that sooner rather than later, but we'll see.
Yeah.
As I said, August 13th, another Korakuen Hall show, which will be the Princess Cup Finals, but we don't know that card yet. And then on August 17th will be the next version of Inspiration. That card will be Palm Harajuku versus Mahiro Kiryu. Saki Akai, Haru Karashiro, and Runa Okubo will take on Himawari, Toga, and Shino Suzuki.
Shino!
Miyu Yamashita will take on Shoko Nakajima in a 10th anniversary match. And Mizuki will take on the soon-to-be retired Iger in an interesting match.
The Ghost is retiring?
Yeah, the Ghost is retiring.
Is she finally going to just be laid to rest and maybe they'll solve whatever mystery she's been in here?
Evidently.
Wow.
Yes. Sendai Girls has a show on August 9th where their two latest rookies will debut. And Diana has a number of shows coming up on the 11th. On the 13th, Ayako Sato and Hanako Nakamori will defend the tag titles against Mochi Natsumi and Risa Sera. And on the 15th, Haruka Umasaki will defend the Diana title against Kakeru Sekaguchi. So that is everything coming up in the next 2 weeks of Joshi wrestling. And now, per tradition, I hand it over to Kelly.
All right. So first off, did you see Barbie?
I did see Barbie. I have not seen Oppenheimer. I'm seeing Oppenheimer this week.
That's okay. What do you think of Barbie?
I love Barbie. It was great.
Hell yeah.
Everyone should go see Barbie.
Hell yeah, brother. Barbie's so good. Okay, so I saw this yesterday, the new Ninja Turtle movie. And I liked it quite a bit. I will say it very much is the studio going, "Hey, do a Spider-Verse. Make a Spider-Verse. Do that for us." So the music all sounds like Spider-Verse, the animation looks like Spider-Verse. But you know what? It's still a fun movie. I think it's very comes from a loving place for the turtles, and it's genuinely really funny. So I'd definitely check it out.
Kelly, you'll be shocked to know that I also saw it.
Oh, hell yeah. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. My one opinion would be it's probably the best movie technically, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie technically. But I think if you were to ask me, like, hey, you've got to watch a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, I think I would still probably pick the first one because I think it feels more like that franchise.
Yeah, I love those first two movies.
Because it does feel a lot like, oh, we just made an Into the Spider-Verse with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in it.
Yeah.
But fun, a very fun movie. Lots of well-known voice actors, including wrestler John Cena.
That's true. Yeah, John Cena was in there.
John Cena with a voice that I think if you didn't know he was in it, you wouldn't recognize.
No, who
his
was
voice.
he? Because I didn't know he was in
was,
there until I saw his name in the credits.
He was Bebop.
Really? Okay.
Right?
Okay, yeah, now that you say that, yeah.
So Seth Rogen was Rocksteady?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can sort of tell if you're really listening and you're like, oh, this is John Cena. You can sort of hear it through whatever modulation they gave his voice. But yeah, John Cena's in it. Just like
John
he's
Cena
in Barbie.
Also in Barbie.
Yeah.
A jump scare moment when suddenly John Cena's there.
Well, that is all for us for this episode of Jumping Bomb Audio. Next time we will be back with you with a chock full of reviews of Stardom, clearly, reviews of Tokyo Joshi, and much, much more. But until then, my name is Taylor for Kelly, saying thank you for listening and talk to you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.
Hello there, everybody. It's me, Garrett Kidney, the co-host of You've Got to Be Kidding Me on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
And I am Liam Jones, my full name, and I am also a part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network as a co-host for You've Got to Be Kidding Me.
We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. We cover all the drama, all the matches, all the Vince Russo nonsense you could ever want in your life.
Have you heard of TNA? I bet you have, but would it be funnier if two people made jokes over it the whole time? Probably.
So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out on this very Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network, and Liam will do bits and whatnot.